What is the difference between physical assets and jiu-jitsu skills? Should you use your physical assets in order to develop your jiu-jitsu skills? Should you lay off of them? Which one should you focus on first? These are extremely common questions that students are asking all the time. In today's video, I want to break down a little bit of the difference and kind of a guide for you to learn how you can start to interplay these two aspects together in order to develop in your jiu-jitsu. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you guys do that right now. Also give this video a like. It helps me in the YouTube algorithms and in the YouTube world. So make sure you hit that bell icon. That way you're notified whenever the latest video comes out. What is the difference between physical assets and jiu-jitsu skill sets? So physical assets are usually what you are born with, and skill sets are developed. Now, for all you guys that have spent a lot of time weightlifting and developing speed and athleticism, don't get offended when I say this, but ultimately we know that strength and athleticism has a predetermined nature to it. According to research, we know that genetics play a big part in the capacity of the amount of strength and athleticism that you can develop. So for example, usually no one is just born and able to bench 300 pounds or squat 500 pounds or deadlift 600 pounds. But there are individuals out there that are genetically predisposed to being able to do that. You have to put in the work in the gym to be able to develop that amount of strength or to run a super fast track qualifying time, to build those fast twitch fibers. But ultimately, genetics are a very big factor in what you're going to be able to do with your physical assets. This also goes into the idea of how long your limbs are, how long your legs are. All of these things are physical abilities that you are born with and that you really have not much control over to an extent. Yes, you have the ability to manage your weight, to gain weight, but if you're 155 pounds and you're 5'5", the chance of you deadlifting 800 pounds is very, very rare. Not saying there isn't anybody out there who can't, but most of the time people who are going to put up these incredibly strong strength numbers are all big guys. When we talk about jiu-jitsu skills, those are things that are developed over a period of time. For example, if we talk about being able to escape pins, that is a skill set. Learning how to escape from the mount, the side mount, and the back mount, there are different techniques, there are different body movements, and there are different strategies that you have to learn and practice and develop over time to have that skill set of pin escapes. This was where the physical attributes and the skill sets kind of interplay. If I'm a big, strong individual or I have a lot of mass behind me, can that actually help me in my ability to escape pins? Absolutely, but it can also be a hindrance as well too. So understanding what areas could be beneficial for you based upon your physical abilities can be very helpful, where you should be spending a little extra time or dedicating a little bit more time in your jiu-jitsu training. A common question that I get asked by students is when they're developing a game or they're first going into jiu-jitsu, should they solely focus on learning the techniques or learning the skills that are going to best benefit their physical abilities? And my answer is going to be the black belt answer, that it depends. Honestly, it really does. If your goal right now is to become ADCC world champion or to compete at a very high level very quickly, then the answer is going to be yes. Because when you have two people who are equally skilled, the thing that might separate the two individuals are going to be the physical assets. So if you take two blue belts that have the equal amount of knowledge and the equal amount of skill and understand the same amount of jiu-jitsu, what might help blue belt A beat blue belt B is that blue belt A is a little bit stronger, a little bit faster than blue belt B. If that is your immediate goal, then yes. However, I will give you a very strict warning. I wouldn't recommend that be your default way of training, because ultimately, if you're thinking about training jiu-jitsu for a lifetime or a lifelong, I hope that you're just not wanting to be successful in the gym against people who are only your skill and your size. you're going to have to train against people who are twice your size and bigger and stronger than you and have more skill than you. You're only going to be able to execute techniques if you actually have the skills developed. And that doesn't really require you to have physical assets necessarily. So learning how to effectively shrimp and learning actually how a triangle works and how an arm lock works and understanding the steps and the most effective grips and the timing for one thing or the next thing, that is how you're going to beat someone who is bigger than you. I always tell students, if it was the chicken or the egg, I would always say to not worry about your physical assets first and focus on skill development solely. Try to not use your physical strength in the beginning of your jiu-jitsu career. Now, when you get further down the line of your jiu-jitsu career, I do recommend that you learn how they interplay together. The reason why I don't recommend that in the beginning of your career is unless you're like a world-class athlete already, did college athletics like college wrestling or college football or college basketball, most of the time a 40-year-old hobbyist, no offense, has zero idea how to interplay between their physical athletic abilities and skill technical proficiency. They just don't. That is a skill in itself, learning how they interplay together. Until you have developed enough in jiu-jitsu and you understand what a frame is and you understand your foot position and you understand why being on your side is important and how all of those play together, then I don't really want you using your speed and your strength until you can demonstrate that you understand the technique. Because until you do, you're just going to be forcing the technique to work or forcing the escape with your physical assets. And that's just kind of bad habits to be creating. On the other end of the spectrum, if you're a brown belt and you've been training for a long time and you're with someone who is equally skilled as you, yeah, using your strength to actually help push off and lever them up so you can actually escape is very, very helpful. But that's because you understand the technique, and so that's the next piece that you need. If you're a white belt and you're really strong and you can bench everybody, you just bench pressing somebody off of you is not great technique. Will it work on people who are not as big as you or not as strong as you or not very skilled? Yeah, but it's not creating good habits and long-term habits. I'm really about helping jiu-jitsu students train jiu-jitsu for a lifelong journey, not just to win a couple matches in the next 5 years in a tournament aspect. Let me know down in the comments below, have you ever tried to interplay your physical assets with your jiu-jitsu skill sets? Do you think that you relied on your physical assets too early in your jiu-jitsu career? Let me know down in the comments below. The next big part is, what are some recommended skills that you should be focusing on based upon some very common physical assets that you might have? Let's first start off, if you are a smaller individual, but you are very agile, maybe you have some very good athleticism. These are usually your guys that are good at sprinting and power. I really recommend is that you have a very good guard passing game and you have a very good open guard game. I tend to see guys that are very athletic and understand how to use their legs, very dexterous and very quick. They're really good at playing guard retention and playing open guard and able to get on top. That requires a little bit of athleticism to be able to do. And then they're able to pass the guard because they can laterally shift from side to side. Let's say you're on the other end. You're a big, strong guy, but you're not very fast athletically from side to side. I recommend for the bottom position, have a good close guard game or have a good half guard game. You want to get your legs involved to where you can wrap somebody around, and then you want to find ways that you actually don't need to pass the guard. If you can do close guard and sweep somebody from close guard or take their back from close guard or underhook from half guard and get to a dominant position, now you passing guard is not really as big of a deal, because if you've swept or you've done those positional changes, you're actually in advantageous positions already. I really recommend those big, strong guys develop pins and holds and use your weight to your advantage. What if you're this person that is not athletic, you're slow, you're not strong, and you're weak? So this is a lot of people in jiu-jitsu. And unfortunately, you have to follow kind of the standard path of jiu-jitsu and understand which skills that you should learn first and why you should learn them and how they lead you more to a roadmap moving forward. That is a big benefit that you could have if that's something you're interested in learning. Inside of my coaching program, I actually teach students the 15 essential skills, and I teach them how they work, the relationships that they exist between them, and how we can actually build training plans that are tailored toward the skills that you need to develop first. We call it a transformation plan. We set a timeline of what you're trying to transform into, and this really takes your jiu-jitsu to the next level. If that is something you're interested in, make sure you check out the link down below to apply. That is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give this video a like. Also, make sure you are subscribed, so that way you're staying up to date with all the latest new jiu-jitsu content. Now, I want you guys to check out this next video that's gonna pop up right here, and I'll see you in the next one.